bit ago there was a really close gunshot where that deer was coming from. About make me sick to my stomach.
Genesis 27:3. Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver, and thy bow, and go out to the field and take me some venison. This was Isaac talking to his son Esau. Before Isaac was about to pass, he wanted to share his blessing with Esau over a meal of venison. Even as far back as the times of the Bible, venison has been important to the human race. So now, join me and my blue-collar team as we chase giant whitetails across the Midwest. Our goal is to make you a better hunter. I'm Ben Rising, and this is Whitetail Edge.
Thank you, God, Jesus Christ. This amazing dream. Yeah, baby.
I'm about to go lay my hands on probably the biggest buck I've ever shot.
I just spoke to the sheriff. Yep, he's going down, sis.
It's a beautiful buck. I couldn't be more happy to take him back home to Indiana.
There he is. Oh my gosh. I just smoked a giant on a Black Widow mock scrape, baby. Yes.
Welcome back to Whitetail Edge. On this episode of Whitetail Edge, we're going to be following along with Kyle Kinsey in Ohio as he has some serious encounters with big deer. Well, Kyle's been on our team for a long time. Kyle's a good friend of mine. You've seen Kyle kill some big deer on the show. Last year he killed DKM, big old drop tine buck. And you know, we've talked a little bit in the episode before about killing trees. Well, this episode's a little bit about kind of the same thing. Kyle has an encounter with a huge deer out of the killing tree on his little farm.
Got my buddy JJ here, and we're actually hanging a Spartan right now for a deer that I had on camera last year at this time on the other side of the home farm. And me and the wife seen him. We thought he was dead. I never got a picture of him this year, never seen him last year. We thought he was dead. Driving up the driveway last night, we seen him, and let me tell you, he's big. So he's a lot of brow, short tine, but probably 25, 26 inches wide. Brows 10 to 12 inches. I mean, just a massive old deer. He'd be 6.5 this year. So right now we're just hanging a camera for him. Gonna put out some big tine, try to get his picture, because I really want to look at this deer good. And then we're gonna go hang a couple other sets today. Getting ready for season. It ain't too far away, so we'll get more stuff on video here, but we're gonna try to get this done real quick and get out of here in case he's in here. I'm sure he is, because this is thick. So we're over at the other property now, and this is where I killed DKM this year, or last year, out of this tree. I figured out from watching him last year, and what we figured out with some of these other bucks as well, where he made a scrape last year, that's where they're crossing all the time. So I got a Spartan up in there, had it there all year, got a nice mineral stump established up there. I'll show you when we get in here. I've established a couple other mineral sites right here in front of the stand, and they have just destroyed them. So that's all we're doing. I left the sticks in from last year, just hanging the stand. We got another stand to hang in here, and possibly moving one stand. But second week in July, this is the time of the year I like coming in and doing this, when it's still full foliage. You know what you got to trim. That way you're not coming in here when it's time to hunt and worrying about trimming your lanes out. Also, the deer this time of year are still a little goofy. I mean, you can get away with some stuff, but the big bucks are still smart enough. You got to pay attention to what you're doing. So it's in the afternoon. They should be in their beds. I'm just kind of slipping in here and gonna get this stand up.
Bachelor group down there in the corner, speeding. They got big time down there. Spark camera down in the corner. Tree stand, hickory tree, and water. We got a waterway down there. It's gonna be a food plot here in a couple weeks. Nice little spot tucked in down there for a gilly vine.
Hi, Ben Rising here with Black Widow Deer Lures. On our show, Whitetail Edge, we're always looking for that one little thing to get the dupe on a big buck. For us, so just become Black Widow Deer Lures.
Yes, yes, baby. I smoked him, dude.
Black Widow Deer Lures, never brown or broken down, always fresh.
Is August 2nd, and we just had our annual Whitetail Edge meeting this weekend. Everything went great. Got some awesome new news. So what I'm actually doing out here today, this is where was getting my buck I call Wide Clyde, and he's been gone now for 10 days. I don't know what happened to him. Junior, a buck that ran with him all the time, still showing up. So it's the Super 7. So I got a Redneck T-Post 80-pound gravity feeder that I'm going to put in real quick and put some big tine in it, some Protein Plus and some nitro. And then it's raining right now. It's kind of crappy out today, and this is why I'm doing this, because I'm going to leave scent here. So I'm going to get this done, get out of here, and hopefully it doesn't start raining here too hard.
So here it is, you know, deer season's approaching, it's summertime. Kyle's been spreading his big tine around on some different farms trying to find big deer. All of a sudden, he gets a picture of a really big deer and he starts calling him Wide Clyde. I mean, just a giant buck, a true specimen. To see these pictures of Wide Clyde on the Spartan camera, it's like, holy cow. You know, and I'm like, Kyle, do you think you're going to, you know, be able to get on this deer? And he's like, well, I'm going to do the best I can.
So, second day of seeing Clyde, and I'm gonna get a stand in here. That way, if he does daylight, I can rock and roll and get in here. I was actually planning on hunting today because I figured today would be the day, but just life in general, the way things go, you know, you're never ready. But besides the point, I got this locust tree right here that I'm gonna trim into on the edge of this bean field, and he's coming out right across this little ditch here about 2 or 3 in the morning. And I'm gonna just keep monitoring him. I mean, that's all I can do, keep watching the Spartan. And you know, I picked this deer up on big tine in July and picking him right back up on big tine again. He knows what it smells like, he wants it. So I'm gonna use that to my advantage. I'm gonna keep feeding him over there on the other side. And it might take till pre-rut to get him to move the way I want him to, but it just is what it is. I'm not gonna push this deer, and it's a big deer. Finally got the stand hung. Actually, it worked out a lot better than I thought it was going to. I wasn't able to get exactly where I wanted to, but I'm right here where this field pinches in the corner. It's one of those stands you're probably not going to see a lot of deer, which I'm fine with, but it only takes that one right day to get that deer in here.
season's finally in here in Ohio, and Kyle's got one deer on his mind right now, and that's Wide Clyde.
Even if you don't think you sweat much, it's still a good idea. Sometimes you never know when that wind's gonna change on you. But this is something all of us carry in our back out here at Whitetail Edge. Well, still trying to make moves on my deer on Clyde. Seems like every other night's when it's showing up. So what I'm doing right now, where I got him coming's a little open, and I came in here on the other side where it's a little more secluded, just to see if it'll make him feel more comfortable if he'll start showing up in the daylight. I don't know if he will or not. I know he's living across the road. Trying to get that big of a deer to cross the road, it's going to be hard, but I got a couple 5.5 and 6-year-olds that are in here with him that are crossing the road in daylight. All the videos I've been watching him on the Spartan, you can clearly tell he does not like other bucks. Anytime another buck walks up behind him, he kind of walks off. He just doesn't want that confrontation. Just going around the edge of this woods here, and there is open scrapes everywhere. So just coming up through here, I counted 13 open scrapes, and there's a lot of oaks in here, and the mass crop this year is ridiculous. There's white acorns, white oak acorns and red oak acorns everywhere. So, but I found this. You can see behind me, there's 2 open scrapes right there. So right behind it, I'm gonna put a black widow mock scrape, and basically gonna challenge this deer. I'm gonna put Dominator in it. It says it's a card camera. I don't know what's making this, but I'll find out when I get back to the house. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a mock scrape here, black widow Dominator, and branch butter.
So the problem here is Kyle's not getting daylight footage of Wide Clyde at all. Like, this deer is living across the road. He's not coming into the farm. One problem that we face in Ohio with it being a legal state to bait in, everybody baits deer now. I mean, it doesn't matter if they've got an acre or 300 acres or 20 acres. Everybody is dumping corn or big tine or something on the ground baiting deer. And it's truly manipulated the deer to a point to where you never know what they're going to do. I mean, these deer can stand up around here, look any direction they want, and just go, you know what? I think I'm going to go that way because I'll run into a corn pile. And they will. With the deer being so manipulated by human interaction as far as baiting deer, a guy has to learn how to hunt different. You got to have something different, or, and big tine has been a go-to for us for, drawing deer to a different spot. Kyle's got this, trying to get Wide Clyde to come, to his farm. You've got natural corn and beans and everything there. The deer's got everything he wants, but what I think Kyle's lacking with Wide Clyde is the cover. This deer just doesn't want to bed there. And, there's nothing you can do about that. You can't make a deer bed in a spot that he doesn't want to bed. You can only do the best you can to get as close to that deer as possible. And Kyle just can't seem to make it happen. We can't get any daylight pictures of the deer. He's seeing some other deer on the farm, some other good bucks, but just really struggling to get any daylight activity on the farm. And Kyle's always struggled with that on his home farm. Like, that's just the way it works. Like, it's just really tough for him to get a shot at a shooter in daylight on his farm. So Kyle just can't get on Wide Clyde. He's striking out. He's got to move on. He's still looking for another deer on his other home farm, or his other farm that he's killed DKM on. He's just not getting big mature deer there.
Sketchy wind. I want to, as I'll call it. It's in their favor. It's in my favor too, because by the time they catch me, it's too late. But we're gonna give them the old Black Widow treatment to help with that. It's 9:20. He's just out looking around. He come down the road. He stopped. He looked right at me, actually. And he couldn't figure it out. He calmed back down. Just walked right up. Went up there. Got under a scrape tree. Made a scrape. Got into another tree. Started licking the branches. He just made a big circle and went back up there. Well, it started off good this morning, but it's been pretty slow now. We had a spike, little 4 or 3 point come in, young doe. Nothing else has moved, so we're gonna sit this out till about 9 o'clock. Go home. Maybe come back out to see me. Little man's getting chilly. Hey, you cold? Part deer out. Get cold. Let's see what he does.
Did I get him? Please tell me.
Tell him what just happened. Did you miss the dog?
Yeah.
Say it happens, doesn't it? I think he shot right underneath of him.
We literally just got done. Jack said he had to pee, so we opened the back of the blind up and peed real quick. And we no more than I turned around and zipped the blind and looked up. Here comes this beautiful buck. I've actually seen this deer 2 other times now. He's heavy. He may be a 4-year-old, but I think he's 3. But I didn't care for him. He could shoot whatever he wants. I'm telling you right now, it'd have been for his first deer ever, it'd have been an amazing buck to shoot. Just a heavy deer. But the deer got real nervous. And then he finally calmed down. And he worked his way down here. Came right into the plot. He turned like he was going to come down and feed on the big tine. And then he turned again. And then he turned again. And that's when Jack shot. And I think he shot right under him. I haven't looked at the footage yet. But he missed him clean.
So Kyle just can't get on Wide Clyde. He's striking out. He's got to move on. He's still looking for another deer on his other home farm, or his other farm that he's killed DKM on. He's just not getting big mature deer there. And so he's really just not got a deer to hunt for a while. You know, Kyle's taking some trips with me out of state. Finally, he starts getting a shooter on his Spartan camera on his magical little woods piece. So this deer is a big deer. As you can see by the pictures, I mean, this deer is the real deal. And Kyle's a die-hard bow hunter. You know, gun season is approaching, but Kyle, he wants to use the bow. And I appreciate that because, you know, truthfully, Whitetail Edge, we don't have a gun sponsor. We got bow sponsors. And I'm not knocking anybody that's shooting deer with a gun because, you know, that's just part of deer hunting and whatever. And, you know, we need deer kills and, you know, it is what it is, but he's sticking to his guns and he wants to kill this deer with a bow.
My deer been listening to that for 30 years. It doesn't bother him a bit. Once in a while, the guy on the 4-wheeler though, he'll bump him over here. Bump jacks don't bother him. They'll only run for a little bit and then shut off. Still shoot though. It's 3 o'clock. I'm guessing I won't start seeing deer till about 4. I may be wrong, but that's probably what'll happen. But I'm just looking here. All them beds from last night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 beds just right here in front of me. And there's a bunch up here behind me. All the scrapes are open back up. That's all been done since it quit snowing because it was still snowing like a banshee when I left last night. since I've actually hunted in the back. I can see deer way down in there right now. I just had 2 young ones come up through. They're over here feeding. I'm just hoping if I do lay eyes on him, I just want to see what time it is, if he's moving early enough down here to where I can somehow cut him off. Sick. If I'd have been in the stand I've been hunting, I'd have killed that deer tonight. But that's a chance to take when you're trying to make some moves on a deer. It doesn't always work out. He'd have been dead tonight if I had a gun, but that's a choice I made. I don't like to gun hunt. But he's in here. I just can't believe he showed up like he did tonight. I thought for sure it'd be dark or he wouldn't. That's a chance to take though. But what I'm doing tomorrow is I'm moving back to the other set.
hates deer hunting.
This is a tough encounter because, you know, he's got this deer literally all over him. And he's just out of bow range through the timber. And it's pretty open timber, so there's not much Kyle can do here. You know, he can't make a bunch of crazy moves, you know, trying to get on this deer. He threw a grunt call at him with the extinguisher. The deer was just not in that mood. He didn't like it. He didn't want to come in, so he backed off. Kyle's like, you know what? I know this deer will be here tomorrow, and I'm going to try to get another shot at him. If Kyle had been in the stand, like he said, that he had been hunting where that deer was headed, he'd have had him dead to rights. But it's just one of those things where it just wasn't meant to be. And you can tell in the footage where these deer eating. What Kyle had done is he'd gone up into the timber. He'd scattered some big tine around because the neighbors were baiting like fierce mad. And he had to do anything he could to get these deer to come to his little 40-acre piece. So he was scattering some big tine on the ground through the oaks, trying to get these deer to congregate a little bit but not be pressured so much. You know, not just in a pile, but kind of scatter it to where they can kind of get away. And it's in a drawing card. I mean, you got to do something when your neighbors are doing the same thing. So the big tine was just giving him that edge, and this deer was coming in daylight. And Kyle was pretty confident that he could get on him the next day. So here it is. It's the last Saturday of gun season, and Kyle's going to give this big buck one more try. He's wearing his orange, but he's carrying his prime. So let's see what happens.
Literally just made a move again from 100 yards over there in a different stand to back to my original stand that I've been hunting in my Novix here. Because last night I hunted that stand, more of an observatory hunt, to see what this big guy was doing. Well, as luck has it, he came right up out of there at 4 o'clock, 4:50, or 4 o'clock, 4:50, and came straight over to this stand, fed 35 yards in front of my tree right here. That's the first time he's been daylight. Moon guide yesterday said 405 peak movement. Well, he was right on money. Him and Superstar. I told myself he was feeding like 80 yards from me. It's gun season, but I'm hunting with bow. And I told myself, if that deer gets within 50, I'm gonna kill him. Well, I thought with the mood he'd been in the last 3 nights on camera with a doe, I figured if I grunted at him, might be able to get him to move a little bit. He didn't like it when he walked away, but so as soon as he walked away, I got out. But he was back last night later in here, so he didn't get buggered or anything. Biggest fear I have right now is neighbors gun hunting with a bunch of guys. I'm just hoping they don't drive deer. That's all. That's all I'm hoping for. yesterday's here. You can see that. Yesterday, 405. It's not highlighted in red. The white is 405. That deer was here right around that time. Today, 459 field edge. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of banging around. Well, I haven't seen a single deer since this came through earlier. Haven't heard much shooting, just heard a shot off in the distance from where that deer's coming from. It was a lot farther down the hollow. But with this overcast, I assume they'll move it right at dark. I just keep waiting to see the horns roll up over this hill. Another shot from the same area. I hate that. It makes me nervous. It's 4:30. Just a little bit ago, there was a really close gunshot where that deer was coming from. About making me sick to my stomach. I guess if he doesn't show up tonight, I'll just watch the cameras and find out if it was him. I'm not hunting tomorrow, so. Praying it wasn't.
So Kyle's in the tree. He knows where this deer should be coming from, and he knows about what time this deer comes. And Kyle's sitting there. He's thinking, all right, man, anytime. And all of a sudden, ba-boom, that dreaded sound that you hate to hear in gun season right off the edge of your property. Of course, that deer got bit. You know, the neighbor killed that deer. And I feel bad for Kyle, but just is what it is. You know, congrats to the neighbor. He killed a heck of a big deer. It was a big, huge letdown for Kyle. You know, Kyle eats a tag in Ohio this year. Doesn't kill a deer, but that's just the way deer season is sometimes. Sometimes we're successful, sometimes we're not. But Kyle did his best that he could to get on a big deer. You know, he planted his food plots, was running his feeders, running his Spartans, using mock scrapes, you name it. Shot his bow all the time. He just stuck to his guns with archery equipment, and he just wasn't able to get it done. If he'd have been carrying a gun that day that he had an encounter with this big old dude, he'd have waylaid him right there at 55, 60 yards. But, you know, Kyle can make that shot with a bow, but in the timber, there's too much branches, things like that. He just didn't want to take a chance. And the deer in the late season like that are a little edgy as it is, so I don't blame him one bit for not taking that shot.
And me and JJ are back in the redneck. Still trying to get it done. Got one more day. Tomorrow's the 7th, last day of Ohio season. Short time to eat.
We've been getting busted all night long. Finally. It was a little bit high, but she's toasted. Took the top of her lungs clean out of that bag of meat.
So what we got going on here is our ground blinds right here. We're facing east. And this wind, what these deer are doing is they're coming up here and trying to get our wind before they come over to the feed pile big time. So it's just been tough getting these windows open, but here with the Onyx, you can figure out where you're sitting as far as wind direction and everything. It's a sweet little app, but yeah, that's what's going on. These deer are coming up out of here, walking, instead of coming straight across the field, they're walking this edge, popping out here, right in our wind. But we were able to get it done this time.
But anyhow, meat for the freezer, and that's what we were after. So thanks to JJ for filming me tonight, because it's been a tough feat trying to self-film out of this blind, and we finally figured it out. We're like, you know what? Let's just open the window as soon as we've seen a deer and see if we can do it that way, and we ended up getting it done.
Well, hey, thanks for watching Whitetail Edge. Hope you're enjoying the show. Catch us right here again next week on Whitetail Edge.